This is the craziest draft league format around. The luck of the draw format, or the LOTD for short, is a format where the picks you make, you don't get to keep. For a proper explanation, in a normal draft league, you will pick mons which have certain points or tiers depending on the league. But for the LOTD, you'll still get to make the picks, but they will in fact go to someone else, and it will be completely random each time. This means you have to be careful when handing out the best mons on the board unless you're feeling lucky and you feel like you're gonna roll a 1 in 16 and get it for yourself, which personally I don't like those odds. I feel like that's very unlikely. Of course, this draft was done in a tier format, so all the teams should be on a roughly the same power level, but as you can see later in the draft, not all the teams are created equal. So here's just a quick diagram of it. All these Pokemon were drafted, but in the end they ended up with none of their Pokemon, and in fact a completely different team. So with this, let's get right into what I got and the team that I'm rocking out with. So we are back with the team analysis for the Luck of the Draw format. Of course, these will be done in tiers, so of course it should get progressively weaker as we go on, but there are some mons that are very useful in this format. And yeah, let's jump straight into it. So for round 1 pick, as a reminder, this should be our strongest mon on the team. We got Mega Medicham. So Mega Medicham is a pretty damn good Pokemon. With the ability Pure Power, it doubles its base 100 attack stat. So this makes it have the equivalent of a base 200 attack stat. That's even higher than the likes of Mega Mewtwo X, Mega Rayquaza and Primal Groudon. So pretty damn insane. Unfortunately, this does mean I'll have to hold the Mega Stone, but for this great amount of power, I honestly think it's worth it. It does have a somewhat middling base 100 speed, but we can make do, especially with the new tool of Trailblaze that I received this generation. Of course, this mon is pretty hard to use, but with the right support it can do really well, and we do have one mon in particular that I think can do really well with this mon. Anyway, for round 2, we got Zeraora. So, Zeraora is a very fast Pokemon, 143, even faster than Dragapult in fact, which, is generally considered to be the fastest thing around, and as a pretty good base 112, 102 attacking stats, though based on my team I might want to use the special attack more, so because spoilers, we got a lot of physical attackers on the team, but still, this mon can be very strong, as good setup, good coverage, and just overall a really nice mon. Of course, it has the ability Volt Absorb, which will neutralize any electric moves. Luckily our team isn't too weak to it, but it'll still be pretty useful regardless. So, for round 3, we have Dracovish. Now this is a very fun Pokemon to use, because basically what you do, you slap on a Choice Scarf and you spam Fisher's Rend. It's a pretty straightforward Pokemon with the ability Strong Jaw and Sand Rush. You'd usually want to run Strong Jaw because it'll boost Fisher's Rend, and with the Choice Scarf you're already fast, but if you're not outspeeding the Pokemon as if they're really fast and you really need that points in speed, you can run Sand Rush instead, which doubles its speed within a sandstorm, which unfortunately it can't set up for itself. Still, it's a really strong water type and dragon type, though I guess it'll probably be playing like a water type more often, and it's just super terrifying, man. I'm not sure, a really hard Pokemon for my opponents to prep for. So, round 4, here's the mon which I said would pair really well with Mega Medicham, and it's Grimmsnarl. So fairy types are really valuable in this format. Not many steel types were drafted, and fairy types as well, because they're some of the best types in the game. You don't want to just hand them out. Of course, with the abilities Prankster and Frisk, you'll usually be using Prankster, giving us access to Prankster T-Wave, Parting Shot, and Screams, which is especially helpful for Mega Medicham. making it be able to set up with a Trailblaze or maybe bulk up, and it's just a great mon overall. So, for round 5, we have Scolipede. This is personally a mon I've never got to use before, but I really wanted to. It has the ability Poison Point and Speed Boost, though I really think we're going to be using Speed Boost pretty much 100% of the time. With 1 Protect, we'll pretty much be faster than most things, and it could set up both T-Spikes and regular spikes, which is really useful in this format since there's not much removal around. Also, Poison types is just pretty nice, absorbs T-Spikes, which some teams don't have, making it a pretty good to set up the T-Spikes and then we can just go from there. But yeah, also, I'm not really sure how useful the Bug Tie will be. Hitting Fairy for super effect is pretty rare. And yeah, overall, I think it's a pretty nice pick, and yet again another physical mon. So, for round 6, we got Quagsire, a personal favourite of mine, as well as Swampert. I just love Wooper, Mudkip, the evolutions, and the way they play as well. So Quagsire of course has 2 amazing abilities in Water Absorb, Unaware. Water Absorb is self-explanatory, water moves have no effect on it, and it'll just heal it, which is really nice. And Unaware, one of the best abilities in the game, makes it a move immune to all stat boosts from the opponent's side. It does also doesn't account for opponent's stat lowering, but usually that doesn't really come into play unless they specifically know and prep like a Draco Meteor or something into you, and Overheat of course will do no damage. So honestly, with Toxic, Spike, Stealth Rock, Recover, and Unaware, it is a great mon for this format, and it's definitely a steal for this point in round 6. So for round 7, we got Type Null, a very interesting Pokemon in my opinion. With the abilities Battle Armor, it's immune to all crits, which could be nice, but I don't really see it doing that much. With the Eviolite, it can be very bulky, it doesn't get much coverage or healing unfortunately since it's not a Silvala yet, but I still think in like maybe 1 or 2 matchups it can really put in a lot of work and just chip them down for one of my sweepers that you've already seen to do some work. So for round 8, we finally get to one of our Terra Captains. This will be our first one and higher point one. We have Hisuian Avalugg. So Hisuian Avalugg is a really insane mon. It has base 186 defense but 36 Spadef. So very lopsided stats, and it will have to be used in a specific way, but if we can make it work, it can just absolutely wall some of those Pokemon that will take advantage of it. And also, it gets access to Rapid Spin. A form of hazard removal is very rare in this format, and being able to get one is really good. Of course, we can get rid of that awful Ice Rock typing with the Terra. So honestly, I think this is pretty good. Also, I forgot to have mentioned Strong Jaw just boosts some of its moves even more, which is nice, and Sturdy means it won't get one shot by a special move, which it tends to do. So for round 9, I would say this is probably our first weaker pick because we have Terra Zebra Striker. In my opinion, probably discount Zeraora, but still pretty good regardless. This mon with the abilities Lightning Rods and Sap Sipper for much needed grass resistance, which could pair really nicely with my Quagsire. Zebra Striker could go crazy with the Terra because it's fast and relatively offensive. If there's any type that's really good into my opponent's team, I could just use it and really leverage the fact that they don't have any switch-ins to that type. And yeah, that's gonna be it. Week 1 will be coming next week, and if you enjoy my content, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. Until then, see you next week. Goodbye.